The path to power. So far, we have seen 7 different power strategies, and in each of those 7 strategies, we've seen how different companies got powerful. But is there a path to power? Is there something you can do so that you can be powerful? And what must I do to establish power? Let's say you're trying to build a product. What should you do? That's the fundamental question. What should I do to establish power? And the answer is simple. All power starts with invention. Simple. Invention is the root of all power. Invention could be a new product idea. Invention could be a new process that you come up with. It could be a new business model. It could be a new brand that you build. Anything that starts with an invention is what is the starting point of power. Any new product that creates this feeling of, I got to have this new product. It is, at least 10x better than the existing product. Then you have invented something. Think, for example, Nintendo. It was really dominant player in the games ecosystem, but when Sony PlayStation came in, they were 10x better because they had 3D graphics. So they were 10x better. Netflix. What did Netflix invent? Right? We said invention is the root. So let's see what Netflix invented. The first thing that they did was they sent DVD by mail. So Blockbuster back then, they never had DVD service. So this was a counterposition. They were able to scale using, local post office providers how to send DVDs by mail. So DVD by mail was a new invention. No one did that. They did it first. Second, they built a UI. The website that they built was dynamic. There was no such better recommendation system like Netflix did, right? So they built a dynamic user interface, which was brand new. So that's an invention. Third, they built a recommendation engine. They built like a venue where there was a competition, huge Netflix price. They built network effects. As more and more people started using Netflix, more and more of them started contributing to their data and with their data. And so their recommendation got even more powerful. So that was the third thing that they built. They built recommendation engine that was not there before. They built and scaled on top of the technology advancements with going to the cloud. They built their entire IT infrastructure and used that on the power of Amazon AWS. So that was a new thing. No one did that before. At some point, their traffic on the internet was like that they were the number one in their traffic on the internet, right? So that was a fourth thing. And then they quickly realized that, hey, they need to have some sort of a cornered resource. So then they got exclusive rights to be the only online provider. When they started seeing, Amazon is starting to compete with them because Amazon saw the value because they were using Amazon as the cloud provider. So Amazon got in and they got into exclusives. So that was a new thing where it dramatically reduced their price. And they also got a cornered resource, which we saw as one of the power strategies, where they were the only ones to be able to stream. And then finally they realized as they got so big that more and more competitors came in, like Disney, Apple, many more. They all realized how big this could get. And so content was now their biggest last invention is with originals on content. They are creating their own movies. So each of these are major inventions, one invention after the other. Without invention, there is no power. So what gets you power? It's one thing, invention. So we looked at Netflix as an example, pretty phenomenal. They continue to invent, they continue to raise the bar. And there are 3 potential paths, roughly speaking. On the left, we see it could be competitor offering based path where you have a product like, let's say, Sony PlayStation. You know that you are going to compete with Nintendo when you get into this industry market of gaming. At that time, they were able to produce this game console that had the first time invention of 3D graphics. And it was 10x better, if not 20x better than what Nintendo 2D graphics had. So that was a major invention. But that was competitor based, right? There was already a huge competition with Nintendo, major market player, but Sony got ahead. And then they were able to do that not just by their invention, they had also had to get a lot of lobbies involved to build games for their platform. Let's say no one built a 3D game, then they'll never be successful. Like similarly, even Apple, when they first launched, they had to get like AT&T and other providers to sign up for, providing that service. Because if those providers didn't sign up, then they would not have the market. So the first path potentially to invention is focusing on, are you going to be going head on to a competition, and is your product 10x better? So that's competitors based. The second path is customer needs. There was a huge need 10 years or so back where people wanted to communicate over distance, and that was the customer's need. And back then we didn't have fiber optics. Fiber optics was discovered purely based on the customer's needs to be able to communicate in near real time over long distance. So that is also the path towards invention, because you will get support. If you have a product that solves the real customer needs today that's not met, you will get support and investment. The third could be like your own capability. If you know that, hey, like Adobe, they wanted to provide a document that can be viewed cross-platform, like the PDF, right? And so, but their go-to-market strategy was purely based on what they had, the competitive assets that they had with Acrobat. But it took them a long time, multiple inventions, multiple entry exits. But that's also possible, but rare. So competitive, your capability, if you go try to take that to market, or you try to meet the customer's demand that to market, or you try to bring in things that are 10x better than the best out there. So these are the three different pathways to invention as to how do you go to market, right? And what you have and what the customers need and that the competitors don't have, that's a unique competing space. This is very hard. But remember, when you are doing really well like Netflix, a lot of competitors are getting into competing with Netflix, and they want to take some of that gross profit margin. So the key thing to remember in this as well is operational excellence alone is not the strategy for differential returns. Like let's say you are a cash rich, cash positive generating company, just because you have operational excellence and the best in class processes, that is not the strategy for differential returns. Why? Because anyone can copy you. Over time, they can copy you. Remember the Toyota TMS system, that TPS system, that is hard because it took them long years of investment. But over time, operational excellence is easy to copy if you just stay at it. So it says, there's this quote that the rudder only works when the ship is moving. That's true. Only if you have power and if you've established that competing space in the market, that your operational excellence will help you. Planning rarely creates power, but it can meaningfully boost power. So once you have power, and once one of those strategies work for you based on the invention, then operational excellence can boost that power. But it alone is not the strategy. That is the key thing to remember. This is the land of entrepreneurs, not the land of planners. Revising the definition of strategy is the route to continued power in significant markets. So power and significant markets, right? So, or the other way is the equation. A route to continued power is nothing but value, right? Value equals market size times power. So the more value you create, the more powerful you become, right? So a strategy is basically route to continued power in significant markets. And we've seen multiple strategies, and how we use these strategies, that's the key. Because if we know that which of these strategies are working for us, then we can use it to get to power. So let's look at this again one more time. It starts with invention. How do you invent? It starts with taking risks, trying out new things. Like Sony PlayStation, they built something. Netflix, they built something. They bet on streaming. They bet on DVD by mail. They are like constantly innovating, and they're using their creativity. And even the external developments like the technology innovations, the internet, the microprocessor, the mobile phone technology, it's just improving and helping them in a pretty major way. So that leads to invention. Once you have invention, then you need to figure out how do you scale that. How you scale that, you can use strategies to actually scale that. And we've seen 7 powerful strategies so far. And once you scale that, then you have power. But it's not that simple, right? Once you have power, And once people started seeing Netflix, how successful they became, everyone started jumping in. So the last piece of advice is, once you know the three different paths to take towards creating power, be very vigilant, because most inventions are being watched, right? Like when Netflix was doing what they were doing, a lot of these big companies like Amazon got in, Disney got in, even Apple tried to get in. I think they have some presence here as well. And so a lot of this work is incremental progress and development. So in your work, when you're trying to build something new, be very vigilant, like, because there's certain breakthroughs that can actually open up those powerful gateways. And it's your day-to-day work, your operational excellence, that work that you improvise on, that gets you towards building something new. Or when you're trying to build a prototype from something brand new, those can be copied. So be very vigilant of acquisitions, copying, using the right law and patents, because otherwise your inventions would be arbitraged, right, by the competition. If they beat you at your own game, then it's pretty hard. So most inventions are a manifestation of operational excellence, meaning your day-to-day work, and thus not immune to arbitration of actions of competition. People can copy you, right? So very important, be vigilant. And remember one thing, if you can remember one thing, what gets you to power? It's invention. It's invention. There could be many things you could do, but if you don't invent something new in process, business model, brand, products, there is no power. All right? So what must I do to establish power? It's invention. Thank you.